Tonight on Business Live, Ghana records trade deficits for the first time since July. We'll break down the latest figures from the Bank of Ghana. Trade Minister embarks on a tour of business resource centers in the Ashanti region as government moves forward with its industrialization agenda. And we have a special report from the Volta Region as the COVID-19 pandemic batters the tourism industry over there. We'll be back in a bit. Now, Trade Minister Untitled has been touring some business resource centers constructed by government across some 37 districts and municipalities in the country. With an investment of $8 million, government says these centers act as the engine for industrial growth, and Emma talked about 1D1F projects. My colleague Charles Ayite is with the Trade Minister in our report.
Now, this business resource center is part of 37 other resource centers across the country established in August. The Trade Minister Untitled has been detailing the impact of these centers across the country on job creation and entrepreneurship in the country. According to him, government plans to decentralize business support systems in the country to give room for rural folks here at Agona and other parts of the country to access basic business needs to expand their industries.
Be able to give him the direction in terms of diversifying into, let's say, dairy production. And I want to close on one note, that the work that is being done here goes beyond what our staff of the BRCs can do. Because you can't be specialists in rice farming, in dairy production, in cassava processing, but you are a focal point to mobilize expertise from all over the country. So every business resource center has a pool of consultants with specialization in different fields that you can call upon to support the beneficiaries or clients who come to your center. So that is the beauty of this whole concept. It's a one-stop enterprise center where from A to Z, an entrepreneur or an enterprise can get the assistance that he or she requires to be able to succeed. So as I said, this was meant to be a quick visit and then also to interact with the district assembly members, also some of the entrepreneurs here. And then if there are any questions that you may want to field, I think we can use this opportunity to respond to them. So literally all your clients, and that is why with the BRC staff, that you are supposed to be running a business, an entrepreneur and creative. Don't sit here and then be up to you. Apart from those who come, the rural banks here, literally all their.
This initiative falls in line with the Rural Enterprise Program that seeks to provide the needed assistance for rural folks to boost their entrepreneurship drive and create more jobs. We've been interacting with the National Director on what exactly this means for rural enterprises moving forward.
So far we have been establishing what is known as business advisory centers all over the country. And these are focused on production of micro and small enterprise activities, training, skills training, and others. At this stage, we wanted to lift the operations of the BACs up to now ensure that we have what is known as one-stop shop for business development, in which case all regulatory bodies will be operating from this center. We don't need to be going to Accra for, let's say, EPA, services, standard authority, and others. This is supposed to connect all such relevant business units.
Now, the two-year trade surplus that the nation has enjoyed may be short-lived this year if exports do not pick up in the coming months. This comes after the country recorded a negative trade balance in June this year. According to the Bank of Ghana's latest statistical bulletin, the nation recorded a trade deficit of a little over $73 million. My colleague Charles Nixon joins me in the studio to throw more light on the latest figures. Now, Charles, what accounted for this trade deficit in the first half of the year? I guess COVID?
Absolutely. If you look at the figures critically, it looks like in the month of June, imports started picking up. So there is a level of economic activities, and we are expected to see more imports going forward into the year. And exports has declined to some extent. It was very robust somehow in the first quarter because we recorded some level of trade surplus in January, February, March, April, and May. But we experienced some more or less like a dip and growth between April and May. Unfortunately, we recorded a deficit in June. What this means is that we are experiencing more imports and exports is reducing. The challenge is that crude oil production, the demand for crude oil has not been quite good this year. We all know prices on the market is hovering somewhere around $38, $40 there were about. So the challenge is that we need to look at getting some exports in order for us to experience some trade surplus going forward. And the challenge is that if we continue to record decline, it means that there will be some level of pressure on our cedi or currency, in the sense that we are also experiencing a negative current account. And current account is your trade plus foreign inflows as well as investment. And if you're experiencing low inflows and investment, we all know the issue about COVID. Remittances has gone down. So that is a challenge going forward. But we are hoping that the authorities will find a way to diversify our export base so that we'll be able to continue with a trade surplus that we began somewhere in 2018. 2018 was a surplus, 2019 was a surplus. We cannot return to a deficit. There will be pressure on the currency. And when there is a pressure on the currency, interest rates will start shooting up. Inflation will also be affected.
What does the outlook for the rest of the year look like?
Well, I mean, now there's a bit of ease in terms of the COVID in this country. So there's a level of imports coming in. And if you look at the numbers, we experienced $1.12 billion in terms of exports in June. But import was quite high, $1.2 billion.
So we need to do a bit more to get the exporter.
Exactly. If the trend continues in July, August, September, till the rest of the year, then we might be in trouble. Even though we experience some surplus from the beginning of the year to somehow May. So that's the challenge.
Wiped out.
Exactly.
All right. Thank you very much, Charles Nixon. You're still watching Business Live. And tonight we begin a series of special reports through in the spotlight on the Volta Region's tourism potential. Fred Duho assesses the impact of COVID-19 pandemic on the sector and measures being taken by stakeholders to get it to bounce back.
According to the Ministry of Tourism and Culture, the tourism industry has contributed about 5.7% to Ghana's GDP. It maintained its fourth place as the fourth highest foreign exchange earner for Ghana after gold, cocoa, oil. But how much of this has the Volta region contributed to this particular GDP? Come with me as we explore the entire Volta region, moving from tourist side to tourist side, but essentially speaking to the folks in these various communities. How has this tourist site impacted their life over the year?
Traveling for about 40 minutes, we made our first stop at the Adaklu Mountain. Sesi Moses has lived in this community for over 50 years. He tells me people come to hike on the mountain for fun, but pay nothing.
I'm over now. It's le tuaji. Papa Henuzio ole tiango. Eba amoyi na va pona. Gake me charge na hona. E gadeke leosio.
After catching the beautiful sights and landscape, we went through Ho to Tafi Atome.
We have been welcomed by one of the monkeys here at the Tafi Atome Monkey Sanctuary.
The manager of the Monkey Sanctuary, Francis Akwe, was of the firm belief that Volta region stands to gain from tourism than any other natural resources.
What I normally tell people is the best thing ever to happen to you is tourism. Even if there were to be these mines all over, I wouldn't support people going to mine them. You know, Volta region has gotten, you know, the best the best natural attractions, potentials that we can turn into tourism. You know, yes, tourism is benefiting. I mean, Volta region benefits a lot from tourism because most of the tourists that visit Ghana, they like to visit Volta region. We should target cleanliness, and when we target cleanliness, after targeting cleanliness, then they look at the potentials in each area so that they will gather them together and then start to sell the place out. In fact, the oils, the mines, the golds and all that they say they have in the region, I wouldn't sign any petition that they should mine them.
The negative impact of COVID was obvious at all sites.
Early, tourism was booming. I mean, it was doing well. The industry was doing very well. Since I came 2018, 2019, it's been very well. The figures were climbing from what we gather from the tourist sites and all that. It was climbing until, like you said, the COVID came in, and then there was a dramatic halt to everything. I mean, the industry, as you know, the industry has been the most affected across the globe, not only in Ghana, but across the globe. And indeed, the Volta was no exception. So, in fact, lots of them, virtually almost all the sites closed down.
The Volta Regional Director of the Ghana Tourism Authority, Alexander Nketia, who superintends over the industry, was optimistic as restrictions ease.
We are trying to enhance the capacity of the various tourist sites and also of the industry as a whole, because you can say the industry is growing. We used to have about 197 tourist facilities. Now we are about almost 300. So you can see the shoot from where we are from 197 to about 300.
After touring almost 3 places earlier in the day, we are finally at the Vli Waterfalls. Surprisingly, a number of cars are parked here. Looks like business activity is bouncing back after the impact of COVID-19. Some cars I can see boldly written on them KNUST, indicating that they are coming from Kumasi.
The managers of the Vli Waterfalls say their numbers are gradually picking up. Emmanuel Kojo Blokpo is the senior tour guide.
We tell them that this is the highest waterfall in West Africa, and there are a lot of things to see. Even going there alone, you cross over 9 bridges to get there. Then when you get to the top, we have a lot of fruit-eating bats, or straw-colored bats. So, I mean, very interesting. And when it's 3 o'clock, as the sun goes down, you see the rainbow also coming up. And people, some of them get scared, but we call the attention that it is only nature.
From March, there about the COVID setting.
Yep.
But 2029, you can share with us. How much came in as some sort of revenue. 2019 there, yeah.
In fact, I cannot be very precise.
But estimatedly.
But I can tell you one thing for sure, that during the 2 years period, we were able to crop in the old currency about, say, 3 billion cedis.
He called on government to turn attention to the abandoned tourist village, which has become a haven for churches.
If you look back here, there's a very big tourist village started by Madam Hawa Yakubu.
Okay.
And we are here to open it.
Look into the camera and tell the government or the Minister of Tourism what you think is that major concern that needs to be addressed at the Vli Waterfalls.
The tourist village must be fully completed and opened very soon, so that a lot of visitors will come here. Even we are even trying to see if we can accommodate some of them there. Like when our students come from far place, we can ask them to lodge here and go back, instead of driving back to Kumasi, Tamale in the night.
After walking for several minutes, I met 6-year-old Elinam on her return from Vli Waterfalls.
So, what is your name?
Elinam.
Elinam, beautiful name. And what are you here to do? Is this your first time at Vli Waterfalls? You've been here before?
No, I went to another place.
Okay, but Vli Waterfalls, this is your first time at Vli Waterfalls, right? That's great. How was the feeling like?
It was normal.
It was normal. Did you swim?
No.
Why?
Because I didn't send the swimming costume.
Oh, Daddy didn't bring it, so Mommy didn't bring. We have to chase them up. Don't you think so? But are you going to be here again?
No.
Would you love to come back?
Yes.
You'd love to come back? So what was the beautiful thing you saw at the waterfalls that you can share with me?
I saw a mountain.
Okay. And what again?
And I saw butterflies.
Oh, you love butterflies. Wow, how beautiful are they?
And I saw water.
Oh!
I finally made it to the Vli waterfalls. This is a very beautiful sight to behold. He who experiences it knows it more. This is the Vli waterfalls, and in fact, I have been inside that water. I can tell you, the water is too chilled. And do you know the amazing thing? I've been able to touch that particular mountain. When the water was just falling on me, you can just imagine it, our feelings.
Back to Ho, we coincidentally met winners of Joy FM and Volta Serene package being treated to a night by the fireside. Those who spoke to Joy Business couldn't hide their joy. They made these proposals.
When we heard about the package that Volta Serene Hotel in partnership with Joy FM was presenting, we thought that was the perfect opportunity for us to sign up. And that is why we are here.
Essentially, we keep preaching about local tourism. We made our folks locally to patronize what they have. Do you think it's about time the publication goes out there, the tourism industries themselves do their local marketing enough to make sure that local tourism is prioritized over the Dubai, over the Kenya and other foreign countries?
Very much so. And I think maybe this is where I'll give some credit to both Joy and Volta Serene Hotel. I heard about this program, just driving to work one day, and on Matilda Andor's program, is it Doreen Andor's program, she talked about it, and we thought that was a great opportunity. Now talk about domestic tourism. One is even knowing where to go, because we don't make a lot of noise about all these places, and that's an amazing place that we can say so much about. As I said, the environment, the vegetation, the fact that it's the highest waterfall in the whole of West Africa. That alone is a selling point, and yet we don't talk much about it.
Later made it to the new discovery, the Avedakpa Crocodile Pond. One of the 4 major forts built by the Danish at Keta for slave trade is on its knees seeking renovation.
Just last year, Ghana marked the year of return, and that marked the 400 years of slavery. And in all this, we saw our forefathers, their descendants, trooping in from outside this country, from the US, especially the UK, and all over the globe, coming to Ghana to pay homage to their forefathers. And in all of this, we have come to Keta, the Fort Princeton. We understand it's among the 4 major forts built by the Danish. Now, this is the dungeon of no return. We understand this particular room is for the hardened slaves, the tough ones.
Was among the 4 major Danish structures in the eastern section of Ghana. Where we are now, this is one of the rooms, the dungeon, where they kept the hardened slaves at that time. And these are, as you can see, these are some of the chains where the slaves were chained to. Wow. Used to chain the neck and the leg of the slaves. Oh my goodness. This is the ankle, the one they used to chain the leg.
This place, the iron rods are exposed, quite dangerous for tourists.
Is it going to be closed down, or there is something you think must be done now?
You know, the fort is in deplorable state. For now, because of the COVID, we have, all the fort and castles have been closed.
Okay.
So we are waiting for reopening all the fort and castles and then the museums in Ghana. So, as you can see, we are not receiving visitors. And we are waiting for the instruction from our headquarters before we open officially. So, as you can see, the fort is in deplorable state. So we are appealing to NGO stakeholders, to come to our aid.
This is tourism from the Volta region. Blue Waterfalls reporting for Joy Business, Joe Fred.
Now finally tonight, our quick take with the Executive Director of the MBSSI, Koshi Yankee Ayer, who has been updating us on the disbursement of government stimulus package.
There are two types of loans. There's the ADOM and an industrial. The ADOM was looking at the micro segment, those who applied up to 2,000. And then from 2,000 upwards was the industrial segment. Disbursement has started for both of them, and we have over 150,000 applicants who have benefited from the micro, small and medium enterprises loans through the CAPBAS program as we speak today. In all sectors, in all regions in Ghana and in every district in Ghana, there's a beneficiary in one of those districts and regions.
All right, and that'll be all for Business Live. I'm Israel Lai. Thank you very much for watching. Have a good evening.